So I haven't done the other Dragonbreath cards, but I'm an Artem girly and played it at the first opportunity. I wish I had access to the story last year. It could have helped with predicting Fontaine's story, but hindsight is 2020, so maybe that's the only reason any of this makes sense. Anyway, today I want to talk about all the different correlations between this AU story in Tears of Themis and the Genshin Impact story. For a quick synopsis, this AU takes place in a world where Artem is an Archon and something like a king endowed with strength and wisdom from the heavens themselves. This blessing is bestowed as a brand known as an emblem. As the story progresses, however, we start to see that the emblem is more of a curse than a blessing. In fact, its powers are so immense that it eventually drives its bearer to madness. As you can probably see, the emblem is very similar to a gnosis, bearing its qualities as both a blessing and a curse, and the mental and physical toll it takes on the bearer is similar to the concept of erosion in Genshin. That the emblem is also passed on via a cycle of madness and violence also sounds very similar to how the Archons in Genshin came to power in the first place, through a war to claim the seats of Archonhood. The being that bestows this emblem upon the Archon is known as Chaos, and of course, that they correlate to Celestia. Chaos actually tries to pass the emblem onto Rosa, our female MC, since she reminds them of Artem. She's an idealist. The Archons in Genshin also each represent an ideal. The Hydro Archon herself had authority over the nation of justice. Artem in Tears of Themis is a lawyer and works with Rosa at Themis law firm. I think that's why they chose to have this be his concept for the story. Anyway, during Chaos's and Rosa's confrontation, Chaos repeatedly tells Rosa that she must see the truth of this world in order to understand its position. Sound familiar? I could wiggle my eyebrows, I would. Anyway, Chaos sends Rosa back in time to confuse her while it tries to destroy Artem in order to pass the emblem on. But this sets off the very chain of events in the story. She realizes her future self was the one who helped Artem that first day that they met. Making a promise to see him at the end of the journey, her words eerily sound similar to the Abyss sibling. This made me wonder if Celestia also sent the twin back in time and revealed the truth of the world to them through their own journey. Perhaps that's where their war with Celestia began, because rather than turning Rosa to Chaos's side, this equipped her with the knowledge of what she should do to destroy Chaos's hold over the world forever. At the end of the AU story, Rosa forces Chaos to sever the ties to the emblem to the Archon by rewriting the incantation that bound it to Artem and Chaos in the first place. So what does this mean for Genshin's story? Well, Tears of Themis is a year ahead in China server, so if this release correlated to Fontaine, it feels now like it was foreshadowing how Focalors would separate herself and Farina from the title of Archon officially by destroying the Hydro seat and returning the authority over Hydro to Nuviet. But if we consider how stories and themes repeat in Genshin, we might be able to extrapolate other details of this story to the Genshin Impact story as a whole. For example, the words that are said between Chaos and Rosa and Artem sound very similar to the conversations between the Traveler and the Abyss sibling. Rosa must also uncover the truth of the world in order to break the spell and sever the ties. Was that just about uncovering Farina's secret, or is this ultimately the Traveler's mission to sever Celestia from its control over Teyvat? Only time will tell, but I'm so happy to see Tears of Themis finally having bigger lore connections to another Hoyoverse game. It always feels like the neglected child, but I play it very diligently. So, as a fan, I wanted to say thank you to Hoyoverse for giving us this little lifeline. If you've played the other Dragonbreath cards and want to talk about any other connections there may be to Genshin Impact or other Hoyoverse games, I play pretty much all of them except Honkai Impact 3rd, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.